Hello and welcome to the Channel Angle. Recently, Steve Burke wrote for CRN about how major vendors like Google and Cisco are shifting their channel compensation structures and partner margins, even as they push AI adoption across the ecosystem. These changes aren't just about spreadsheets and percentages, they're reshaping partner behavior, trust, and long-term loyalty. I had the opportunity to sit down with Steve and unpack the broader implication of these moves, from Microsoft's aggressive Copilot rollout to what partners are really thinking behind the scenes. Later in this episode, we'll hear from Avis Yates Rivers, CEO of Technology Concepts Group International and longstanding force in the IT channel. Avis shares how these shifts are showing up at the ground level, from business operations to customer relationships, and how solution providers are adapting to protect both profit margin and strategic partnerships in the age of AI. Let's get into it. Hello. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I am here with Steve Burke, who is the executive editor at CRN. How's it going, Steve?
Great, Cass. Thanks so much for having me. Really excited to sit down with you.
We're getting some good traction here on a story that you had a few months ago now. It's a message that you brought to us in your analysis of Google Cloud's decision to cut channel margins in its AI-powered workspace suite, Gemini. When vendors alter their compensation structure, it doesn't just affect like spreadsheets, and it's a change in behavior and trust, and ultimately it's about where partners are going to place their bets. Are they going to continue to be invested in these same vendors as they change the compensation structure? And as a 30-year channel veteran, you really warned us that these decisions don't just shift the dollars, they shift loyalty, they shift strategy, and the future of partner-led innovation. So maybe give us first a little bit of grounding and a recap of what is happening with these shifting margins.
Well, the biggest thing that's going on in the channel right now is we're seeing vendors across the board. Google's one example, cutting the Google Gemini AI workspace margins. But there's also, in general, a big shift that's taken place over the last decade where product software licensing margins continue to decline in an era of subscription-based software as a service models and a move towards partners really leading with business outcomes and really leading with services. Frankly, the partner brand is driving the products and the software licensing with their business outcome based managed services. That's been a shift that's been going on for a long time, but the partner programs are changing more rapidly now than they've ever have. We've seen Cisco with Cisco 360, right? The biggest change to their channel program in 30 years, moving towards a more of a business outcome focused model. The first phase of that goes into effect July 27th. The remaining part of it goes into effect February 26th of next year. So you look at how long Cisco's taking there to make sure partner profitability is taken into account. As far as the Google, Gemini AI workspace partner margin cut, that's even more troubling because what's going on there is now we're seeing AI reshape the marketplace at a blinding speed. And now is the time for vendors like Google that are driving that AI revolution at a grassroots level, like Microsoft is with Copilot, to really invest on the front end. Think of it as Amazon when they made the shift towards selling books online and how they really sacrificed profitability at the beginning to fuel that growth. There's going to be so much growth with AI. Now's the time to invest in getting partners on board with that, AI solution set and scaling the business. Obviously Cisco's looking at that too. They're moving all their AI products into the subscription model. We've got, multiple vendors making that shift. So the call to action for me is like, look, make sure you're investing in this once in a lifetime opportunity with AI, much bigger than anything we've ever seen in the past with cloud, with the internet, client server computing. And now's the time to really double down on the channel and to invest in channel profitability to get those customers to adopt the AI business use cases. So more important than ever that vendors invest here, especially in this AI and AI reset that we're going through right now.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned in the article kind of like Microsoft already has such a channel forward and channel focused model. Do you think that's going to hinder some people who are kind of, less focused on channel sellers and the ecosystem itself? And then they have to also adopt this AI model into it and get people on board. Like what do you see the contrast there being?
Well, Microsoft is really leading the AI charge with Copilot, and one of the contrasts I make in the column on the Google Gemini AI Workspace partner margin cut is, Google's right now is in a really battle royale with Microsoft for the hearts and minds of these, AI heartland users. This is right at the desktop productivity level. I mean, you got to give it to Microsoft, and Microsoft's come with a real aggressive partner first effort there. And I know that the channel partners that are working and driving Copilot into the market couldn't be happier with what Microsoft's doing there in terms of the incentives, the air cover, the hand-in-hand partnership to go and really drive business use cases with Copilot. We were just at Exchange, and iCore was there, a solution provider based in Woburn, Mass, who has done just some breakthrough work driving, big ROI using Copilot-based solutions for vertical markets, including a customer that had saved $200,000 on doing contracts with their Copilot solution. That's the kind of change that's taking place right now. And hats off to Microsoft for driving really that AI revolution with a partner like iCore.
Yeah. And, we know that so much of people's use of products and deciding what they're going to pass on to their clients really does rely on the trust in the vendor and the trust in the brand. I'm always interested in like, how do people build trust, right? But it seems like there's also this level of you built the trust. Now you're starting to kind of break it a little bit because you're not investing in people in the same rate as maybe your competitor is. What are your thoughts on that?
Cass, you just hit on the biggest issue in the channel, which is trust and building strategic partnerships and really doing the hard work, both with programs, one-on-one, in all aspects of the channel go-to-market. And that trust is hard to gain, but can be destroyed very quickly. And when you look at a case when when a vendor makes a change to a partner program and just flips a switch and changes the compensation model that really strikes at the heart of a solution provider business, well, it destroys that standing trust, especially if you weren't going in there with the discussions ahead of time with the partners, getting feedback, right? Listening to how the partner program change is going to affect them, maybe taking that feedback back. Nobody, obviously, all businesses have to make a decision what's right for them, and in this case, and in this case, Google was doing that. But it's interesting to compare even what Google did here, flipping a switch, with what Cisco is doing with Cisco 360. Cisco is one of really the blue chip companies that are really renowned for its channel and working with the channel and building that trust. Credit to Chuck Robbins, who was a channel chief, right? Chuck Robbins came up through the channel, now CEO. And I think credit to Chuck and Rodney Clark over there, who's driving this for really, making sure that partners understand the changes, know what the impact on their business are going to be, and taking that feedback and putting it back in and making sure that that trust isn't broken. It's a huge commitment from Cisco as they make this big change. Think about this channel programs, but for the 30 years, really, they're changing a program that was renowned as kind of as I said, the gold standard here, and just making sure that partners understand and can adjust their businesses for this dynamics, the new market dynamics, whether that's subscription, SaaS, right? AI, went on. But the big point is, look, now's the time to build that trust and partnership with this AI revolution. You said, I've been doing this for 30 plus years, getting older, right? But when I look at this AI thing, I feel like a kid again because there is so much opportunity and it's so exciting. It's so much opportunity for partners now, more than ever in the history of the channel. And it's happening faster than we realized.
You were talking about like flipping a switch and just an automatic and quick change. And it's as if some of the vendors are relying on brand loyalty rather than the actual relationships. Like, hey, we are fill in the blank vendor here. We're going to make it doesn't matter what we do because we always are going to be there. But it seems like the partners are just getting more savvy. There's a lot of places where I can build my business and I don't have to be with these select few. I could be out here shopping around. And by the time I, integrate all that stuff, I could have onboarded with somebody new. Do you hear a lot of the partners thinking about, okay, well, this was a abrupt change. How can I migrate my business in different directions? Is that kind of what you're hearing? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, migrating businesses in different directions is always tough, but clearly, when vendors make sharp changes like this, it has a direct impact on their channel share and partner loyalty. That trust is broken sometimes with these changes, and partners move customers to another vendor. I think in this case, I think you're probably going to see some of those, Google, Gemini AI workspace partners who are looking at the opportunity with Microsoft versus Google, moving some customers to Microsoft Copilot if they have that relationship. And that's the biggest issue, is for partners to have multi-vendor relationships to really go to market. I think one of the things we've seen over the last couple of decades is, there is more demand for partners who have a broad set of relationships and partnerships with multiple vendors in multiple markets. We're really living in the era of the strategic service provider, where partners are acting as service providers, choosing everything from the productivity suite to their AI solution sets to the carrier services, and wrapping it all together into a single bill subscription model, consumption-based offering for their customers. So to do that, you've got to have a wide amount of relationships. So yeah, it's definitely happening, no doubt. When vendors make, sharp right, left-hand turns without taking into account the impact on partner profitability in the business, partners are going to make changes in who are they going to market with as a strategic partner. It takes time to see the long-term impact of that, but it's taken place. The shit started to happen. These relationships can be broken really quickly, and it does shift the commitment, and often lead to higher sales growth for a competing vendor.
Yeah. So let's talk about sales growth. So, what would you suggest for maybe some of the partners who are feeling this push, feeling this squeeze when it comes to their margins? Like, what do you think that the partners could do or say to vendors to create a more sustainable, mutually beneficial margin?
Biggest issue for partners is to drive that tight relationship with the customer, and to drive those managed services, those business outcome services, and to go deeper and deeper with their customer. Really, the hallmark of the channel model is understanding the customer's business and their vertical market that they're competing in, and understanding that particular individual business just as well as the CEO does. So it's really about being close to that customer and driving that competitive advantage with a broad variety of technology solutions. And this really, when I say solutions, it's managed services and integration across their business and driving that trusted advisor relationship, which has been at the heart of the channel model since the advent of the channel with the PC revolution. It's still there. It's the trusted advisor model. So it's just drive that trusted value. Nothing good happens unless you have that really dynamic triangle that includes, the partner, the customer, the vendor, the distributor, all working together. And so the call to action is we need the whole channel ecosystem to work together to understand the pain points and pressure points of each aspect of that ecosystem. And in this case, the partner that's really driving the business use case. And now's the time to really scale your channel programs and your go-to-market to drive AI with a fiery passion that recognizes the opportunity for huge gains in productivity, revenue growth, cost savings with AI, through partners. That's the value of the channel, to scale and grow faster.
Thank you so much for your insights. Always such a pleasure to talk with you. The AI revolution is here. It's upon us. It's happening so fast, so quickly. Being able to figure out how we can increase profitability and, like you said, drive margin. That's what we need to learn more of. So thank you, Steve. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for doing it, Cass.
As always, thank you, Steve, for your insights. Now let's shift a little bit and hear from a solution provider with boots on the ground, someone who can speak to how margin compression and AI disruption are truly impacting trust between vendors and partners. Joining us today is my friend and this woman after my own passions, someone who's not just navigating these shifts, but leading us through them. Ava States Rivers is the CEO of Technology Concepts Groups International. She is a longstanding force in the channel and a powerful advocate for equity and innovation in tech. We're going to talk a little bit about how partners are adapting their businesses and where AI fits into the growth story of what vendors need to understand about trust, strategy, and sustainable success. Hey, Anis, how's it going?
I'm fine. How are you? So good to see you again.
So good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. We have a laundry list of questions, but let's start with partner programs, right? So how are you all adopting your business model to stay competitive as things shift with vendors, changing from outcome-based services and subscriptions? How are y'all handling those changes coming from vendors?
Good question, Cass, because it's an ever-evolving landscape, right? We know that vendors are constantly changing their business models, their revenue share models, and their delivery models without much input from the channel. And so we're in the position, like everybody else, having to stay on top of these changes and stay on top of our individual strategies and how we go to market and make some decisions whether or not we're going to follow the new trends or not. And so some of the things that we've done recently is become more subscription based, right? We're not so much technology resale driven, but rather solutions driven. And so we help our customers to understand what their current needs are and then go and develop a solution that will address their needs today and in the future. Some of that will take into account some of these new models and some of it won't, right? And so more of as a service is what customers are looking for right now, whatever it is. And we've just developed cybersecurity as a service, for example. We have technology procurement as a service. And so what that does is it ties a lot of value added services around a particular product or a vendor solution to be more prescriptive and customized for each and every customer. And we'll just continue that trend.
Yeah, so much of the channel ecosystem is based off of relationships and vendor partner relationships and what that looks like. How has the changes in rollouts from vendors impacted your trust of them?
Well, it's challenged it, to be quite honest. It's challenged that trust because as a smaller business, we have to be very focused and strategic and intentional about how we're going to spend our resources, both human as well as capital. And we're very agile and can turn on a dime. Well, what does that do to our strategy, our long-term strategy, our market penetration strategy? So not knowing that some of these changes are coming really does put an undue burden on us in the channel. And that does begin to erode trust. Like, I don't want to deal with them at all. We get to that point where some of these programs are so divergent from where we entered them that you have to decide whether or not it's in your future. And for us, we're not going to be tied to any particular vendor or program if that trust continues to erode by not factoring in our input or impact to us.
Yeah. Steve talked a little bit about how the differences between Cisco's rollout of AI structures versus Copilot just kind of coming in and now it's all of a sudden available, and how that impacts folks and the wraparound solutions that you're trying to provide become something different, especially when you have contracts that are already in place that now
But
maybe the program doesn't look the same because of the different offerings that are
well,
involved.
so then there's uneven investment also, right? With these are some of the challenges that we face. Some vendors are heavily investing in partner ecosystems, and others prioritize direct customer relationships in direct competition, right? So that unevenness is also not helping.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about AI. Are you excited for it to be a part of your business, or what are your customers looking forward to when it comes to integrating AI solutions into your tech stack?
I love it. And my whole team loves it. Of course, we've adopted internally generative AI for almost everything. We just launched a new solution in the first quarter, and we were heavily dependent on AI for things like market research, like what is the mid-market point of saturation, for example, for our cybersecurity solution for the mid-market, and where are the gaps? It's just whatever we needed to find out, we were able to leverage AI to come up with those answers, as well as how to market and how to frame this solution, because cybersecurity protection is not new.
Mhm.
And so how could AI help us stand out and differentiate ourselves from the crowd and the noise? Because with all of those solutions on the marketplace, the mid-market is still only about 10% penetrated with cybersecurity.
So, as you explore AI tools like Copilot and Gemini and DeepSeek, what do you look for in a vendor offering before deciding to bring it to a customer?
Yeah, several of our vendor partner solutions are AI enabled. What I look for are those key components that's going to keep the solution fresh, ever evolving. And, I don't want to just invest in a dinosaur. So I'm looking for agility. I'm looking for speed. I'm looking for functionality that can scale as
Mhm.
our needs scale and as our customers' needs change.
Yeah, and it sounds like communication about those capabilities is the key point to maintaining the trust that you all need between you as the channel partner between the end user as well as the vendor. So,
Yeah.
my last question here, what do you want vendors to understand about the impact their rapid changes make for you and your business?
Let's
That's a
see.
big question. You got
Yeah.
the ear of all the folks. So tell them what they need to know.
I would love for them to know that there are channel partners that have committed to helping them grow their businesses by selling their products and their solutions. And I'd like to see a little balance of trade there where their commitment to helping the smaller channel partners like ourselves grow our businesses, right? And it doesn't take a whole lot to do that. It could be a human resource to help us to be strategic and to know what's coming around the corner and help us see that so that we can help our customers see that. More direct communication or more investing in the conferences and the trade shows where we're on display and selling our/their products and solutions, joining us in those moments physically as well as financially in having a bigger presence at those places. And also just really thinking ahead about we're making these changes and not doing it in a vacuum without engaging the voices in the channel. I think that serves much better and for a stronger relationship in the future by engaging us before things are cemented in stone. And here you go, have at it. That it's just not the way to do things because we have choices, right? There's nothing out there that stands alone as that unicorn that can't be duplicated by somebody else or ourselves. So make the investment and strengthen the commitment.
Avis, thank you for sharing your perspective. It's very clear that navigating vendor shifts through and around AI is more than just a technical know-how, right? It takes strategy, it takes clarity, and maintaining strong relationships. And one thing that you brought up that I thought was interesting is also the investment in the in-person conversations, right? Whether that be virtually, but also being at these trade shows and these opportunities to sell alongside, right? Well, to everyone watching or listening, if you're a partner trying to make sense of these changes or a vendor wondering how your decisions land on the ground, this is the kind of dialogue we need more of. So let's keep this conversation going in the comments, or you can send us a note at CRN. Thanks again, Avis, and I thank you all for tuning into the Channel Angle.